Now, we know that orbit is the path of an electron in the atom around the nucleus. An orbital is a three-dimensional region in space around the nucleus where the probability of finding an electron is maximum. And in each orbit, there will be such space or such orbitals. Each orbital is denoted by a letter and a number. The letters used are S, P, D, F, G, H and so on. The numbers used are 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, how do you denote them? We'll soon learn about it. See, for example, you have here in the first orbit, that is in the K shell, we are having, or in the K orbit, we are having only one S orbital. In the second, that is in the L shell, we will have two S orbital. Again, in the M shell, there will be three S orbital. But are they all round? Here we are showing them as round. Yeah, this is the S orbital, which is spherical in shape. It is smallest in size compared to the other three-dimensional regions or the orbitals, which we will soon see. And it increases in size as the orbit number increases. So, you see 1s is smaller in size than 2s, 2s is smaller in size than 3s. It is almost spherical in shape. Now, if you take a cross section of these s orbitals, you will find that it is not a continuous region in space. Between this 1s is the smallest region where we find electrons. Between the 1s and the 2s, this is denoted by the dark red lines, there is some space, and that space is called the node. In this node, there is no electron or no probability of finding an electron. Again, in between this 1s, 2s, 2s and 3s, there is one more node. So, in the 3s orbital, in the section, you can see that there are two nodes. That is, in between the 1s and the 2s orbitals, there is some space which shows no electron present or no probability of finding electron. And again, between 2s and 3s, again there is an empty region where no probability of finding electron. These regions are called nodes. The 1s orbital is small and has very little electron density on its surface compared to the 2s orbital. As the sphere size increases with the orbit number, and in between the two regions we said there is no probability of finding electron, it's called a node. So, a 3s orbital will have two nodes, as you can see here. These white regions, you can see there are two regions over here in the cross section. This middle one is the nucleus. Now, that was the s orbital. But what about the p orbitals? There is something called the p orbitals. You can see here these p orbitals are actually oriented along the different axes of x, y, z, and accordingly we name them as px, py and pz. This is the px orbital, this is the py orbital along the y axis, and this is a pz orbital along the z axis. What can we say about their shapes? They are dumbbell in shape. The region between these two lobes is again called the nodal region because there is no probability of finding electron in this dumbbell, in this region between the two lobes of the dumbbell. You can see here this is 2px, 2pz, this is again, this is 2py. Here the lobes are along the y axis, this is the z axis, and this is the 2pz orbital. Here we have shown them in the way so that you can understand the nodal plane where it is. It is exactly between these two lobes of the dumbbell. Now comes the d orbitals. The d orbitals, as you can see, they are actually characterized by the plane in which they are. So, this is the dyz plane. See, this is the y axis and this is the z axis. The plane that covers both this axis will be the dyz plane, and obviously you can find there are four lobes over here. Again, the dxz plane. X is this axis over here, you see. So, the plane should be lying along the x axis and the z axis is included in that. So, this is a dxz plane. The dxy plane is this flat plane you can see, which is including the x axis as well as the y axis. It is nowhere, nothing has got to do with this z axis. So, this is called the dxy orbital. This is the dxz orbital. This is the xy plane. So this is a yz plane and d orbital is called as dyz orbital. Again we have got one more, dx square minus y square. That is another orbital which has been literally derived mathematically, which we shall learn later, and this is the dz square orbital. You can see a ring around this orbital which appears rather peculiar than the remaining 4 types of orbitals of d. The dx square y square minus y square orbital also has got 4 lobes, but the dz square orbital has got only 2 lobes along the z axis, and there is a ring over here which you can see along this dumbbell shaped orbital. Now the symbols which we said S, P, D, F represent the groups of lines in the line spectra of the alkali metals as observed by spectroscopy. These letters are the first alphabets of the word sharp. S, P stands for principal, D stands for diffuse, and F stands for fundamental. What is that? We said they are the words used to describe the groups of lines in the spectrum of alkali metals. So S is the sharp, that is the group of lines that will appear sharp. Principal, which will be the principal line over there in the spectrum. Diffuse, as you can see, the lines are diffuse itself. And fundamental, those will be the prime. The principal is different from fundamental, but they are those lines which are very important to us in the study of spectrum of the alkali metals. To know how many electrons can be accommodated in any orbital, we need to expand our knowledge to the quantum numbers. Now, before we go on to the quantum numbers and what are they, we shall have a quick recapitulation of mass number, proton number, and number of neutrons. Mass number denoted by A, proton number denoted by Z, and the number of neutrons denoted by N. Here we find that if we are told sodium has a symbol Na standing for natrium and the Z, that is the proton number, is 11, then what should be the number of electrons? We can immediately conclude number of protons is equal to number of electrons, that is 11. If you are given the atomic mass number as 23, then you can easily calculate the number of neutrons, because we know by now that the nucleus contains the protons as well as the neutrons. So if the total number of protons and neutrons are told to be 23, then we can easily subtract 11 from that 23 and get the number of neutrons as 12. In this way, we have seen how we can find out the atomic number and the mass number and the electron number from the given data. Next, we shall understand now what is electronic configuration. Electronic configuration is the arrangement of electrons in the orbits of an atom. It is called electronic configuration, represented in different ways. We can show it in the simplest way which we studied in grade 10 like this, or in our lower classes where we show the nucleus. We represent that nucleus by the element L symbol, sodium for example, then 2 electrons in the K shell, 8 in the L shell, and only 1 in the M shell. So we have here 2, 8, 1. That is one way of representing. Here we see. The other way of representing the arrangement of electron is like this: 1s2, 2s2, 2p6, 3s1. This is called the representation or the electronic configuration with respect to the orbitals of an atom. Now, let us take another example of iron. In case of iron, we know the atomic number is 26. So, the number of electrons also have to be 26, otherwise the atom will not be electrically neutral. How do we arrange it? We have written the electronic configuration as 1s2, 2s2, 2p6, 3s2, 3p6, 4s2, 3d6. Why this odd distribution of electrons, you will say? Now, here first and foremost, observe one thing. The numbers we write just before to those small letters of S, P, D, F and so on. There are no commas in between these 1s2, 2s2 and so on. Again, the 2 over here is a superscript. It represents the number of electrons. SPDF represents the orbitals, and 1, 2, 3, 4 represent the orbit number. So, these superscripts represent the number of electrons. The numbers in front, that is before S, before P, they represent the orbit number, and S, P, D represent the orbitals. Now, there is a rule by which we can find out the electronic configuration of an element, of an atom, of an element, and that rule is called Aufbau principle, which we shall learn later. In order to describe an electron in an atom completely with respect to its position around the nucleus and its motion around the nucleus, quantum numbers are used.